So here's an interesting question. Can you be both a servant and a leader? And if you can be a servant and a leader, is that style of leadership effective in the real world today? I think the answer is unequivocally yes, if you actually know what a servant leader is and how and when to use that leadership style. And that's what we're talking about today. My name is John Boggs. I am the co-founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, where I also serve as the director of our Business and Leadership Division and CEO, and today we're talking about servant leadership. So what is servant leadership? Well, there's a very cool story about a boy at 13 years of age that discovers the power of servant leadership and uses that to become extremely powerful and wealthy and satisfied with his career. And I think that outcome's possible for you and me as well. I'll tell you Horst Schulze's story in just a second, but first let's unpack some of the fundamental differences between servant leadership and other leadership styles, the most common of which we would call command and control leadership or top-down leadership. Command and control leadership is focused in the beginning with the person that is the person of authority. So in command and control leadership, you as the boss and the people in the organization that you lead working for you. Command and control leadership can be highly effective when you have a particular goal or an outcome that needs to happen very rapidly, where decisions need to happen immediately. There is value in command and control leadership. However, where there are differences between that leadership style and servant leadership is in the focus. Command and control focused solely on the goal or the outcome. Servant leadership focused on the team. Servant leaders see the customer or the employee. And by the way, as a leader, the people that are working in your organization on paper that you think are working for you, I would encourage you to think of as your clients. They are your actual clients. You actually work for them. That is the viewpoint of the servant leader. So what does that make your job? As a servant leader, your job is to support, to empower, to resource. It is shocking how often you have a situation where a leader has people working in their organization, and yet that leader doesn't give those employees all of the resources and tools they need to accomplish the goal. A servant leader is focused on that. So how do you empower, encourage, and support the people working for you? Because when you think those thoughts, when you answer those questions, you're practicing servant leadership. So let's talk about Horst Schulze. Very cool story. When he was a young boy growing up in Germany, at 10 years of age, he had the dream to work in the luxury hospitality industry. And the funny thing is, he was not by any means well off. His family was fairly poor. And when Horst went to his parents and even his grandfather and said, I want to work in the hotel business, it was frankly for their particular class of worker in the middle of Germany. Horst says it was embarrassing for his grandfather. His grandfather would tell him, well, don't tell anybody. That's what you want to do. Imagine having a dream and your grandfather saying, I don't want you telling anybody about that. It was difficult for him, but he didn't let go of his dream. He had this dream at 10, 11, 12. By the time he's 13, in Germany, in the era in which Horst grew up, you began to work in the summers in the trade in which you thought you wanted to be a part of. And the little town that Horst grew up in had no luxury hotel in it. In fact, it was about 100 kilometers away, the closest hotel that met the standards that Horst would want to work in. Now, God bless his parents, because during that summer of 13 years of age, they drove Horst there and they let him stay for the summer and work in this particular hotel. And Horst discovered something amazing. His first job, cleaning ashtrays, taking out the trash, and doing all of the jobs that were the most menial jobs in that hotel. And yet, while he was cleaning ashtrays one night in the restaurant, he saw someone walk in, and every head in the restaurant turned to look at this person. And it was the maitre d'. And he noticed that the other busboys, that the other waiters, and that all the customers in the restaurant had a reverence for this maitre d'. And the way the maitre d' walked, and the way the maitre d' talked and the energy had an elegance and a grace to it. And at the end of the night, Horst went to that maitre d' and he said, I noticed the way everybody looked at you. It was amazing. I want to learn whatever it is you know that has created this result for you. And the maitre d' said, you know, Horst, if you've chosen to work here at the hotel, I want to encourage you that while we do serve, you do not have to be a servant. You can be somebody that holds your job with a level of reverence and grace and professionalism. When you do what I do, it is a craft, it is an art, and you can become so excellent at it that you become a peer with anyone in the world, no matter what their position. You see, this particular hotel was the highest end hotel in the area. It served ladies and gentlemen. The wealthy of that part of Germany were the only ones that could stay at that hotel. When Horst was going to work, his father said, just so you know, I want you to be careful and make sure that you don't offend the guests of this hotel, because Horst, this hotel is the kind of hotel that we would never be able to stay at as people. It was a class above where Horst grew up. And that maitre d' made possible for Horst the idea that he could become so good at what he does that he becomes an equal or a peer. He told Horst, as you practice excellence, you become a peer with anyone in the world that is excellent at what they do. And the most successful people, Horst, they can see that excellence and they respect that excellence. What you see in these guests is respect for me, Horst, because I practice excellence. Don't come here to serve. Come here to practice excellence. And that moment changed Horst's life. He went back at the end of that summer at 13 years of age, and when he started school in the fall, the first exercise the teacher had all of the kids do is write a paper about what you did this summer. And Horst wrote a paper, and he entitled that paper, Ladies and Gentlemen Serving Ladies and Gentlemen. And he talked about becoming really good at what he did and watching and studying that maitre d'. And as he did, it wasn't servants serving ladies and gentlemen. It became ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. The teacher gave Horst an A and passed that paper around to the other teachers in the school. You see, that title, Ladies and Gentlemen Serving Ladies and Gentlemen, went on to become the motto of one of the finest hotel chains in the world, the Ritz-Carlton. And Horst Schulze became the CEO of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. His philosophy was imbued in everything that the Ritz-Carlton does and is still trained to this day. Ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Servant leadership isn't some lower form of leadership. Servant leadership can be absolutely powerful. As your team knows that you care about them, that you are all about empowering them and encouraging them, you become a more powerful leader. Servant leadership is effective and can work for you. Make sure that you see your team as your customers first and as your employees second. You do that, you become a servant leader and you become effective in all new and empowering ways. Remember, this particular video and others are available to you to improve your own leadership style. And now is your turn. I'd love to know what you do to practice servant leadership. What does servant leadership mean to you? Have you used servant leadership? I'd love to know. If you would, put something down in the comments. Tell me. And share this video with people that you care about, other leaders that you know could benefit from becoming a servant leader. Until next time, remember, think bravely and act boldly.